All right, guys, so I'm back answering your questions. This one is from Sleek Owen. He says, I struggle with balancing vocals with an instrumental, getting the vocal to stand out and the instrumental to have a kick, if you catch what I'm saying. So basically, I'm going to give you guys a thought process to mix your vocals with your instrumental. So firstly, here's a freestyle we did on our live stream.
Beat change, hop out 38 special, the beat change, 16 rolling with me, the heat change, like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now, in Miami with the team stunting, trying not to get the bitches on my team wanting, everybody on the roster, not a team stunting, I'll be all up in the movie, I am not a stunt man, I'm back.
Now my vocal will fit perfectly in this actual beat, so it doesn't need much, but let's say there's a lot of scenarios. The best scenario is the producer gives you guys the multi-tracks. This allows you to turn stuff up and down where you need. That gives you the most control. The second best is if they give you a non-mastered wave file. So it's lossless in quality, but you can't control like the levels of anything really. But it's just not the mastered version, which is the version that people put up on YouTube to sound very presentable, you know? So basically it depends on what kind of beat you guys get and how far the producer pushed the beat. Hopefully they didn't deliver the mastered version to you guys. Okay, so basically we've grouped the instrumental into one channel. And on this channel, I'm just adding a multi-band compressor to tame some of the lows for this specific beat. And then we're running it through a compressor for the soft clip mode, just to add more harmonics. So here's what it sounds like. Here's before. Here's after. It just adds a little bit of a groove because we're compressing some of those transients, so it shapes some of it just cuts a groove so we can add a vocal in there. And lastly, we're adding this plugin called the MD4. This is basically just adding more density to the beat. Now we don't necessarily need it for this beat, but that's an optional thing to do. Okay, now on the vocal, I'm using a compressor. This is the FET compressor, and this is the 1176, the black-faced one. Okay, and this has a low attack, semi-low release. Okay, so all we're doing is try to capture the pointy parts in my vocal.
Beat change, hop out 38 special, the beat change.
So that chain is from a real, studio. They would basically track through the Sony C800 into the Neve 1073, then into an 1176 to capture peaks before we went into Pro Tools. So I took that from an actual studio. And then we're running into an LA2A type of compressor called the Vintage Opto. After the 1176, this adds a little bit of harmonics from my specific vocal. And you guys can adjust how you want. I made a whole 20-minute video before this, and I recorded the wrong screen. So now I'm just basically just kind of showing you guys the answers now. So here's with the second compressor.
Hop out 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now.
So if this is like too of an in-your-face sound, so basically we're adding harmonics to the vocal to where it sits over top of the beat. But if it's too in our face, we need to pull back the input gain and just try to avoid having to EQ stuff.
Beat change, hop out 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now, in Miami with the team.
So it just lets the vocal breathe a little bit more. We don't always need to super squash stuff through compressors. I know you guys are taught that on YouTube, but that's not always the case. Now for this vocal, I have a lower voice. I like some of the boominess around 80.
Beat change, hop out 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change.
It just gives it a little more like grit to the vocal. So I'm pulling
that. Change, hop out 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like
I'm not worried about the low frequencies, even though some people say to EQ them out. That messes up my vocals 90% of the time. So on the de-esser here, we are targeting a very specific zone. And basically it's just, that's what separates amateur vocals from a well-recorded vocals, that de-esser. A lot of stuff on BandLab, for example, sounds very like this. You can tell they recorded on their iPhone. It's very harsh, and we want to take care of that zone. Nextly, we're using a multi-band just to kind of take care of that 1200 zone.
Beat change, hop out 38 special, the beat change.
To lower that like telephone effect on this vocal.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now.
All right, so now we're going to combine the vocal. Now the main thing is combining the vocal with the actual beat. So every beat is different. So right here, we're using an EQ just to turn stuff down so that we can use the rest of the processing.
Beat change. Hop out, 30.
Because we're hitting at -2 going in. So let's buy us some headroom here by turning stuff down.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change.
So now we're like -3 in terms of headroom. And then we're running it through this multi-band compressor. It's a very special compressor. I haven't seen any other compressor do this stuff. Mixbus TV put me onto it, and I'm learning it every single day, but this is a really unique compressor. We're essentially just lowering the mid signal.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now. In Miami with the team stunting. Trying not to get the bitches on my team wanting. Everybody on the roster, not a team stunting. I'll be all up in the movie.
So I like to switch between stereo and mid-side mode to see.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now. In Miami with the team.
I found the mid-side mode makes the track feel wider because it doesn't touch the sides unless you force it to. So that's why I like that mode. And nextly, we're going to run into an expander just for the beat to gain more transients.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the
Let's add a soft clipper. Now, you see how I changed my voice. So hopefully it doesn't change the vocals too much to where we have to turn this soft clipper off.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now. In Miami with the team stunting.
Now, I've heard like 3 to 4 areas where it's clipping now, but if we turn this off, we don't clip.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game.
So if we're going for loudness, I might run it through that soft clipper to, just add that harmonic distortion that we need. But nextly, we're going to go through Gold Clip. This is another great plugin to kind of glue stuff together.
Beat change. Hop out.
I have it on Unity mode here under the gold area. If I turn this up,
change. Hop out, 38 special.
We're going to hear some more of that harmonic distortion.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots.
We got to remember this style of hip hop, like it was built on distortion. So don't be afraid to distort your track. Also, too, if you switch the mode to classic, it will address the bass a little more aggressively.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now. In Miami with the team stunting. Trying not to get the bitches on my team.
So I don't think that much crunch adds much of anything. It just kind of glues the track together there with the alchemy knob. And then lastly, we're going through a limiter.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now. In Miami with the team stunting. Trying not to get the bitches on my team wanting. Everybody on the roster, not a team stunting. I'll be all up in the movie, I am not a stunt man. I'm back at it though. Magmatic with asthmatic flow. Magmatics, let the magmatic go. 38 special in the motherfucking vest. Came through stunting off the motherfucking chest. We live, back in cities, yeah, I'm back with the grind. Iced tea chips, looking like I came for the nines. Dressed to the nine on the side of my spine. In case a nigga want try me, I put him in the vine. Look.
So now it's just a matter of adding little tiny details to each thing. Maybe going back to the multi-pressor, turning that off, letting the bass cut through a little bit more.
Beat change. Hop out, 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now. In Miami with the team stunting. Trying not to get the bitches on my team wanting. Everybody on the roster, not a team stunting. I'll be all up in the movie, I am not a stunt man. I'm back at it though. Magmatic with asthmatic flow.
All right, so one last thing I would do just for loudness purposes is consider the soft clip mode on the expander here.
beat change. Hop out 38 special, the beat change. 16 rolling with me, the heat change. Like I'm shooting shots at a fucking heat game now. In Miami with the team stunting. Trying not to get the bitches on my team wanting. Everybody on the roster, not a team stunting. I be all up in the movie, I am not a stunt man. I'm back at it though. Magmatic with asthmatic flow. Magmatics, let the magmatic go. 38 special in the month.
So for this track, it's just, as you could hear my vocal, like I wasn't even yelling, but it sounded like I was. So this soft clipper can dramatically change the harmonics to where it sounds like a whole different track. So for that reason, we're going to keep it off. And that would be how I would address blending the vocal over top of the beat. Notice I didn't use any sidechain compression because that takes away from the beat. I'm trying to figure out how to make the vocal and the beat blend without having to take away something. So that is the process. If you guys want to learn more, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium and then look for the Mixing Fundamentals course. I'll leave the links below. Shout out to you guys. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.